Big Dick Naruto is back. You know this man is nothing more than Big Dick Naruto. You do not call him Naruto Uzumaki. You call him Big Dick Naruto. But for reasons that I don't want to say that full name while I'm making this what if. I'm gonna go ahead and, just call him Naruto. Now, last time we left off, he had discovered most of his powers and flew away from the fucking hospital after, taking Milner. Well, Milner. Or Milner. Whatever way you want to say it. Now, he wakes up, and as he wakes up, he sees a Ambu standing in front of his bed with a kunai. Now, he then says, "Look here, you really don't want to do this for real, especially if you work for Donzo." And then the person says, "I have to." And then he says, "Is that a girl?" Wow. Okay, bet. Look here. If you defeat me, well, you get to kill me like Danto said. But if I defeat you, well, I guess we can both guess what's gonna happen to you. I mean, you're not gonna die, but you're gonna experience a fate worse than death. She said, and then she then says, "You disgusting ogre," and comes after Naruto. He just shakes his head, and then he throws the hammer at her, and then it repels off of her, cracking her ribs, and then comes back to Naruto. Now, if he would have kept the hammer going, it would have gone straight through her, spilt her guts on his walls, and he would have been cleaning for the past 2 weeks. She gets back up and she says, "That was fast." And then she starts healing herself. And she looks back up, and Naruto's right in front of her. Now, I don't think we need to explain what happened after that, but let's just say she got a few charges for pedophilia. Nah, you know what? 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 I ain't even gonna do her dirty like that. Cause that is not allowed, and I might get exposed on YouTube. So let me rephrase that. People are older, about 16, so she doesn't catch any charges. Well, she does, but she doesn't. He is 16, but he still is under legal age. But in Japan, I think the legal age is 13 or 14, maybe even 12 for consent. Now, she gets back out of his bed and then starts buttoning up her shirt. And he's like, "Oh, by the way, you should probably wash those pant." And then before he can finish, she says, just shut up. I have to go commando because if you get what I mean by that, you get what I mean. Now, she leaves his house, and he then starts putting up his stuff on for school. Now, I'm gonna say Ninja Academy started a little bit further into there, so sure. So he walks to class with his hammer. Now everybody sees this as weird since, well, no one could pick up the hammer, but he could, which they thought it was some type of demon trick, since everybody thought he was a demon. So yeah. Now back to the comedy. Now he walks into the classroom and everybody's like, "Huh? Is that Naruto?" Now, speed forward. Naruto caught a glow up. He was kind of like he was chunky in the face a little bit before last time they saw him, which was when he was 14. Now, I mean 10. Yeah. So, I guess we had a few more time skips. Shut the fuck up. Now, after those time skips, that was the first time they saw him. Well, except for occasionally in the village. And he looked a lot different. They only ever saw the backside of him because they never really paid attention. The only time that they actually ever saw him was his baby in the grocery store. And when they said hi, he wouldn't say hi back, unlike how he used to be. Now Aruka says, Naruto, I'm sorry, but you failed. Look, Naruto, you were supposed to create shadow clones, and since you're inside of a coma for so long, I know you can't create any clones, not shadow clones, clones. Now, he then gets this angry like look on his face, and he says, "If I do something cooler than clones or shadow clones, either one of those, since shadow clones are, physical. If I do something cooler than that, will you agree to letting me pass?" Now, he says, "Okay, I guess I could do that." Now, he then leads the class outside and he starts waving his hammer around and around and around and around and around and around. Now, eventually the wind begins to pick up because, almighty powerful hammer, spinning so fast that, the force creates the wind to move. Now, he spins the hammer and spins it and spins it and spins it and spins it and spins it. And eventually a lightning bolt strikes him, which everybody screams out. Everybody's worried for Naruto for literally the first time in forever. And he's still spinning the hammer, as they see. And then from the hammer, electricity comes from it, like you can see inside the picture right now. And two lightning clones, magical lightning clones come from him. Which Uruka's astounded by this. Because even inside of the Cloud Village, lightning clones were hard to make. Okay, the Leaf Village has shadow clones. The Cloud Village, or not the Cloud Village, I don't think, but the village where the Raikage stayed, which I'm pretty sure was the Cloud Village, has lightning clones. The Bloody Mist Village has water clones, etc., etc., etc. Now, lightning clones, out of all those clones, are one of the hardest to make, other than water clones, because you have to constantly phase them. Now, basically, he looks at the lightning clone and he punches it. Now, the original thing that the lightning clone was supposed to do was to shock them. It wouldn't be enough to knock out Ruka since, he's been in a few wars and plus he's a ninja. So he punches the clone and it disperses and hits him with the lightning. Now, the lightning knocks him back. And then Naruto then has a shocked look on his face. And Aruka says, "Are you shocked I took out your clone so fast?" He's like, "That wasn't a lightning clone." And then he says, "What?" He says, "That was a move from my hammer. That was a magical clone. That wasn't only made out of lightning, that was made out of magic." And then he says, "What do you mean?" And then he says, "You should probably get indoors." And he's confused at this at first. But then thunder then starts to crack through the air. Now, then lightning comes shooting towards him. Which then Naruto throws his hammer at the lightning. and he jumps upwards. Now, unlike what people knew, they saw him propel himself with his hammer. Now, this was flight. Well, not really flight, but this was kind of jumping. If you did not know this, Thor can actually technically fly. He can fly and do the hammer thing, and the hammer thing is faster than Iron Man. So, yeah. Now, he's floating inside the air, and everybody's shocked by this. He's instantly taken to the Hokage, and the reason for this is inside the ninja world, people that can fly are powerful people. Flying isn't a normal technique for the ninja world. No, you have to be an amount of you have to be at amount of power that you would be able to fly, or create a technique that would be able to let you fly. Now, they ran a few tests on him, and they didn't get anything back. It seemed that he was normal, except his muscle capacity was weird. By this, they mean his muscle capacity. The muscles weren't really going over top of each other and growing, making bigger muscles. No, they were getting stronger, but the muscles were staying the same, slim like. But the Hokage then says, but that's impossible. Muscles muscles work. The more you work them, the more muscles you burn off, and then you regrow those even with even more muscles, and then you continuously do that until you get more and more and more until you're eventually satisfied, or until you die or stop. Now, they let him go, and Naruto goes to bed. Next day later, uh, the same Anbu is back at his house, and he says, "Oh, you're back for another round." I guess the first round wasn't you know that good in particular. So I mean, let me rephrase that. He says, "I guess the first round was too good for you to not come back," and she says, "I mean, no, and also no. They sent me here to investigate you and stay near you while you got training from your sensei." Now, he basically says okay, and he walks to school, or the Ninja Academy. Excuse me. Now he waits and waits and waits, and eventually he puts up the stuff doing the prank. Now he's let me tell you something. He's colder to people, but all in all, he's still the same person technically. It's just when he was through that coma, his inner mindscape really taught him that he shouldn't take bullshit from anybody, especially if he's supposed to be a demon. Now, he brings them up to the roof and he asks what their dreams and aspirations were. We're skipping useless parts. Now, Sasuke says the whole Itachi thing, and Naruto says something completely different than what Kakashi expected, even more bizarre than the original. He then says, "I don't crave power, no, I already have it within the palms of my hand. I seek not revenge, but I guess you could say something like revenge. I want people to know that them calling me demon, the demon of the them calling me a demon and treating me like trash throughout the years." And his eyes then turn red, but not from Kurama, no. This is a mix of Kurama and Red Lightning. Now, Sasuke backs up along with Sakura. Because Sasuke's smart enough to know this lightning isn't just for imitation. No, he's pissed off, which means this lightning is out of control. Now the lightning starts to hit the ground and it starts to crack the ground. He says, I'll show them what a true demon I can be. He then proceeds to say, I'll show them that even with hard work, even if you're turned away your entire life, you can become something. You can become something as far as a demon itself. I don't know why people treated me like this, but just know they'll regret it. I won't hurt them, but they'll fear me. My bad. He then says, just know, blood eventually has to turn solid after being exposed. And right now, my blood is as cold. No, not just cold. And then Sasuke then jumps back along with Sakura. They then sense his bloodlust. The lightning then starts to crackle everywhere. The clouds then start to gather up. He then says, no, I'll show them. I'll show them what I can really be. Now, this then hits the tree, burning the tree. And Kakashi says, Naruto, calm down. And he regains his senses. And the lightning starts to fade down. He then says, my bad. I think I got a little bit too excited there. Anyways, I'll see you tomorrow, I guess. Kakashi says, yeah, also, don't eat or you'll throw up. Now, he doesn't say this with the whole, trying to put fear into them so that they actually won't eat. Nah, he just says this normally, since he sees that Naruto's soul has been corrupted. This wasn't the same Naruto that he saw from the orb. Now he then begins to walk away, and Sasuke grabs his shoulder and then pulls him towards him. Naruto then pushes him back and then says, I'm not into guys. And before he can finish what he's about to say, Sasuke says, how did you get that power? Now, he turns his head and he says, what? What do you mean? He says, where did you get the hammer from the lightning? Where did you get that power? He then says, you have to be worthy. But all you have to do for this hammer now, since I've corrupted it, is have enough hate. Have even more hate, or an equal amount of hate as me. And you should be able to lift this hammer as long as I want you to. I have full control over this hammer. This is no longer Odin's or Thor's. This is my hammer now. Sasuke turns his head, and Naruto walks away. He says, just like your brother said, gather enough hate, and one day I'll forge you a weapon that is equal to or a little bit less powerful than this one. Now, skip to the next day. Now, Kakashi says he got lost to the road of path for just being late and oversleeping. And he then tells them about the bell test, that they only have to get the bells to pass. He then says, one rule, Naruto. You can't strike me with lightning because that would kill me and then you'll be arrested. So, don't do that. I mean, I don't really know what to say, but just don't. And he then says, I won't. I'll do something that you can't avoid. Now, Kakashi then says, now, go. And as he says this, Sasuke and Sakura jump inside of the trees to hide, act like real ninjas. But Naruto does what he did last time. He rushes Kakashi. Now he starts swinging the hammer at Kakashi. And of course, since Kakashi is nimble on his feet, he dodges all of this. And then he smirks. As Kakashi's off the ground, he says, you landed right in my trap. And then Kakashi says, what do you mean? And then he realizes that weapon isn't being propulsed forward because he's jumping with it. No. Time then starts to slow down for him. Not because of this. Not because of, the thing, but because of just pure shock. He then realizes he threw the hammer. He should have said, do not throw the hammer. Now, to get to the ground faster, he then started to create a Chidori in his hand, moving, I don't know why I did that, moving down extremely fast, and the hammer then hits a tree and completely destroys it. Kakashi looks back at Naruto, out of pure just fear and confusion. You can even tell, even though he has a mask on his face. He says, you were really about to fucking hit me with that? With that much power? You know what? Just new rule. Don't kill me. Now, he pulls up his mask and reveals the Sharingan, which Sasuke's shocked about because he's thinking that he stole it from one of the Uchiha graves or helped Itachi and or killed one of the Uchiha and then took their eyes. Now, he keeps on throwing his hammer at him, and eventually the hammer locks on and it starts to trail Kakashi. Kakashi then starts to run at Izuku. Not Izuku, Naruto. And he says, there's one thing that you didn't think about. And then Naruto then says that you would try to rush me and then try to move right before my hammer would hit me. Now, Kakashi acted like he was shocked. And then he said no. That the Sharingan can perfectly predict moves. He moves to the side. Now, the hammer moves to the side and then he jumps over the hammer. The hammer then tracks back onto him and he grabs Naruto and throws him into the hammer. Now, Naruto then gets back up and wipes his face off. He then puts his hammer over his hand, on his arm. And he then says, you fucked up. He says, do you know why I have this hammer? This hammer isn't what's giving off this power, no. I've been given the power of a god. And I don't mean this literally like I've been given a very strong power. No, this power was literally given to me by a god. Like, I was face to face with him and he physically gave me the power. Now, lightning then starts to surround his body. And Kakashi looks worried for his life. And he then looks up at Kakashi and then the lightning turns orange. And now he looks like he's fucked. He says, "Aw, shit, I'm fucked. I am fucked in the ass. I am dead. My, just say R.I.P. to the third Hokage for me. Fucking pack up my suitcase. I am outie. The fuck is you talking about?" Now, instantly, before Kakashi can even react, Naruto's right in front of him. And Naruto acts like he's about to hit him with the lightning, which knocks him off of his senses, thinking that Naruto's actually gonna kill him. And then he takes the bells from Kakashi. passing the test. Kakashi then says, everyone come out, I guess. And and Sasuke and Sakura come out, being completely shocked at Naruto's power. Now, he says, you guys pass, I guess? He then says, the point of the exercise was to use teamwork. And Sakura says, yeah, Naruto, teamwork. Now, he says, okay, best believe, Sakura, I got something for your ass. And she says, what? And then he says, don't worry. Just be safe getting home. Now, they then get to eat the lunches prepared. And it's nighttime at this point. Sasuke goes his way, Sakura goes her way, and Naruto goes his way. Now, I don't know how to say this is the least worrying way possible. But as Naruto goes his way, the Anbu that was following him then sees him disappear. She doesn't know where he went. She just knows that he looked like he was body flickering, but the hammer was up inside the sky, which obviously means he flew off somewhere knowing that he was being followed. Yeah, I didn't forget about this, by the way. Now, Sakura is still walking home, and Naruto appears in front of her inside of a dash of lightning. Now, the lightning's only on the ground, not inside the air, so no one else sees it. Now, Sakura says, what do you want, you weirdo? And then she continues walking. And then Naruto starts walking. Sakura stops it and says, stop following me. Then she begins walking. And then he begins walking. Now, she says, do you think I'm kidding? And then turns around and tries to punch him. But he catches the punch. Now, he then grabs her. Well, he then starts to, fling his hammer, and then he goes flying into the sky. Now, at this point, Sakura can't see anything but clouds. And all of a sudden, she's inside the forest, out like miles away from the village. Naruto then says, Sakura, I want you to know I'm not being possessed by the Nine Tails. This is all of my doing. He then slaps her. Now she falls to the ground. He says, do you know how you criticizing me feels? He then slaps her again. She then hits the ground even harder. He says, it feels like that, and then slaps her again. She then hits the ground again. He says, being criticized by the person you like is, well, kind of fucked. He slaps her again. And then he says, that's exactly why I'm doing this. Now this time he punches her in the face. She spits out blood. And she realizes either she's gonna die here or something's gonna happen to her too. Well, something horrible is gonna happen to her. I'm not gonna really, tell you. Until next part. I'm just kidding. Let me stop. Now, he then starts beating the crap out of Sakura until basically she gets to the weak point to where she's in the middle of life and death. He then keeps on hitting her over and over and over and over and over, and she's just basically pleading for mercy. She just stop, please, while having a bruised face. He says, I could kill you, or I could send you as far away from the village as possible. so far that even inside of a carriage or anywhere that you would want to go, need to go, you still wouldn't be able to get back to the village. Maybe in a month, a year, couple of months actually, on foot. And anyone that tries to help you is either going to try to sell your organs, kill you, or rob you, maybe even rape you, well, berserker you. And he then punches her again, and she pleads for mercy and starts to back up. Now, she then backs up and backs up and backs up and ends up backing up into a cave. He says, perfect. He then gets a giant boulder and puts it in front of the cave door. Now, he then begins to berserker her. Now, if you know what I mean by this, you know what I mean. Now, she kind of deserves this. I ain't even gonna hold you. Now, after her body is completely disgraced, she's crying on the ground. Basically, crying because her honor was tarnished. And basically, he knocks her out. He puts her literally as far as possible. He literally puts her as far as he can remember away from the village, like as far as he could go before he would start to lose his way back to the village. And he drops her off there. Now, he's beaten her so bad that naturally healing would take days. So he flies back to the village. So fast, in fact, that he taps the Ambu on the shoulder. He then says, I'm right here. Sorry, I had to go and handle some business. Now, she says, next time you do that, I'll count it as treason. He then grabs his keys and then says, we can go back to my place. And then he kind of shrugs his shoulders. She's like, fine, fine. And that's when we're gonna leave it off. You know, Naruto's a player, kind of a rapist, but, you know, player rapist. Either or. Now, yeah, she got what she deserved. I'll see you guys later. Have a, well, as good as a day as you could hear from this fucked up shit. And see you later. Don't die.